right, we are going to begin this morning, though, with the latest on President Biden's handling of classified material. House Republicans have called for the release of visitor logs to Biden's Delaware home after documents marked classified were found there last week.
The White House and the Secret Service both say they do not maintain visitor logs for the home because it's a private residence. A spokesman for the Secret Service says background checks are performed on those who come in contact with the Bidens at their home, but it retains such information for only a limited time. Speaking with reporters, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he wants all the information that Republicans can get their hands on.
I think we want to collect more of the data, more of the information. Are these all the documents? Are there more out there? I mean, I know the White House tried to say it was all cleared up on Thursday, and now that we find there's more documents. I think there's a lot of questions that continue to raise, and we want to get all the information possible.
For the latest, we are joined by NBC News White House correspondent Carol Lee and NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Good morning to both of you. Carol, let's start with you. So what more do we know about that lack of visitor logs and the search for any more potential documents? And how are House Republicans reacting?
Well, what we know about the lack of visitor logs is the White House says that they don't keep track of those who come and visit the president at his private residences. And they're quick to point out that that is not new, that that's something that has been the case for previous presidents as well, including former President Donald Trump and presidents before him. And so the Republicans are saying, well, OK, fine, we'll go to Secret Service and we'll ask them for their records. They clear people in to be around the president, sometimes run their Social Security numbers to do background checks. Secret Service says we don't keep those records internally, so we don't have those to give. Nonetheless, Republicans seem intent on pushing this issue and are going to, by all accounts, continue to make an issue out of it. Take a listen to House Majority Leader Steve Scalise.
Well, just because they said it, you don't just take their word for it. I mean, we're talking about classified documents. We're talking about when the Justice Department clearly had the knowledge of this prior to the election and sat on it. And I think Joe Biden's going to find out that the rules do apply to him, and we're going to finally start asking questions that haven't been asked for the last few years.
Now, Democrats are very quick to point out, Joe, that this is not a question that Republicans are also asking of former President Trump. They're not demanding that he turn over visitor logs for anyone who was at his Mar-a-Lago estate while classified documents were stored there where they shouldn't have been. And so the Democrats are saying, look, this is just hypocritical. Those rules, they're also not applying them even.
So, Danny, given that here, OK, Carol just mentioned the Mar-a-Lago case. Looking at the Biden case, what hurdles does the absence of visitor logs present to a special counsel?
I rather think the absence of visitor logs was a tactic by Republicans, and here's why. They had to know that the Secret Service doesn't keep particularly good records, especially for a vice president. Consider this. Under federal law, you may be surprised to learn that vice presidents don't get lifetime Secret Service protection after they leave office. It's only 6 months. So doing the math, there's at least 3.5 years during the Trump administration where there arguably was zero Secret Service oversight of the Biden home. So unless the documents all got down there during President Biden's current term, there is very likely a window of zero oversight on President Biden's home. So I rather think this was a tactic that was already known to Republicans before they even requested the logs for the home. Now, does it complicate matters? Not so much. There's still many other digital ways to get evidence, whether it be searching emails, communications, things like that. The visitor logs would have been helpful, but they're not absolutely essential.
Carol, we know the White House has said it's cooperating with the DOJ ever since we first learned about the first batch of documents, which were discovered last November but came to light much more recently. What's the Biden administration saying now about the GOP's call for more information?
Well, Joe, yesterday we saw the White House hit back pretty hard against Republicans, particularly for making an issue of this visitor logs, this question of visitor logs, which presumably, as Danny just said, the House Republicans know that the Secret Service wouldn't keep and that presidents don't keep. So what the White House is saying is that Republicans have zero credibility here, that their demands should be met with skepticism, that they're basically being hypocritical in the sense that they're asking for things of President Biden that they haven't called on former President Trump Trump to deliver. I'll read you part of a statement from Ian Sams. He's a White House spokesperson. And in his statement, he said President Biden is doing the right thing and is cooperating fully with a thorough review, but House Republicans are playing politics in a shamelessly hypocritical attempt to attack President Biden. So you can see the White House, while they're maintaining the position that they can't speak to the specifics of the documents, some details of the timeline and things like that, they are willing to get in it and play the politics part of this and push back there where Republicans are demanding things that the White House is basically saying are unreasonable.
And Danny, are we essentially conflating kind of two different things here? Because on one hand, you have a national security damage assessment, which maybe visitor logs would be very helpful for that. But the special counsel is looking at specific questions, right? Like who let these documents get out of the SCIF? Why were they there? I mean, are those two very different things?
There are two major prongs the special counsel is looking into. Number one, how did the documents get there? That includes what are the documents? What is the universe? Because there are several different classifications of these documents, everything from top secret SCI to confidential. So that assessment needs to be made. And then afterward, where the Biden team scores very well, is what did they do once the documents were found? There, as you know, the Trump team scores very poorly because they fought tooth and nail, whereas the Biden team came forward with this information. And I say the Biden team because Biden himself has not done a lot of favors for his team by some of the remarks he's made. For example, saying, and I'm paraphrasing, hey, the documents, it's not like they were on the street. They're in my garage next to the Corvette. I did a little research, by the way, and it's an old study, but do you know the most stolen classic car is the Corvette? So, look, having a Corvette itself arguably is an invitation for people to come break into your garage. Not a good idea for Biden to sound glib about, hey, the documents are fine, no biggie. It is a biggie, and it's the kind of thing that he probably should have just let his team handle because they were doing brilliantly.
All sorts of information we are learning here from Danny and Carol. Thank you both for kicking us off this hour. We appreciate it.
People in California are finally getting a bit of reprieve after more than 2.5 weeks of rain and snow. The forecast appears to be clearing up, but there is a lot of difficult work ahead. Homeowners and business owners and cities across the state are now assessing the damage and starting the cleanup. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin joins us now from Capitola Beach, California. Dana, the forecast here, it appears to be drying up, of course, after that extra round of rain yesterday. We know flooding, mudslides, landslides, those have all been an issue. Any reports of anything like that overnight?
Nothing major to that extent overnight, Lindsay, but I can tell you that there is still a flood advisory in Santa Cruz County near the Salinas River, and that's going to last until about 9 o'clock this morning. And I think the bigger issue right now is the lingering impacts. You've got saturated soil. So officials are really concerned about downed trees, possible landslides that could come even days after, the rain has moved out. We did get some snow in the Sierra. Forecasters predict between 18 to 24 inches, but that storm has since moved east. So the good news is things are starting to dry out, like you just mentioned.
You're in Capitola Beach, where property owners and business owners are just now beginning to assess the damage. What are you seeing on the ground?
Well, you may be able to see behind me, there's a dumpster full of debris. We started seeing crews clean out some of these businesses that are along the beachfront because they got hit with waves and wind. Some of them have broken windows. Part of the Capitola Wharf, a chunk of it is now sitting inside the dining room of one of those businesses. We actually got a tour inside a few restaurants here. One of the business owners walked us through some of the damage. Take a listen.
The waves came right through here and into the restaurant. So this was our deck when you walked in, and this got blown up and was out in the middle of the street. That's how hard the waves hit. And I was sitting at home, and I knew the king tide was happening, and I'm watching on the video, and all of a sudden you just see a wave, the camera's inside, the wave just come all the way up and hit the fan. Unbelievable power.
Yeah, and the floorboards in there are just kind of like ripped to shreds because of the water that kept coming underneath this building. This particular business owner is hoping that he can get everything cleaned up and restored by spring break because this is a tourist area and they really rely heavily on the tourism industry to kind of help keep them afloat, Lindsay.
Wow, so much damage there. So, Dana, what about this federal aid? What is it for and how can people apply?
So that's the tricky question. Even that business owner says that he's really frustrated because he hasn't received any information as far as how he can even get the process started. We know that that federal aid money is going to go to counties like Merced, Santa Cruz, and Sacramento. But the good news is President Biden is expected to tour some of these devastated areas on Thursday. So we're hoping to get a little more information about how much funding is going to be provided for California and how business owners can start the process. I even spoke with the Santa Cruz County Emergency Management Director for this area, and he tells me that there are at least 1,000 residents and homeowners that are going to need that money for flooding damage to their businesses and homes. Lindsay?
Dana Griffin, thanks so much.
Time now for a check on the weather forecast and the cross-country storm expected through the west and into the plains this week.
Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is in for Angie with the latest. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. Yeah, we're going to be watching that cross-country storm move east. It's going to bring lots of stuff. It's going to bring some rain, some wind, some snow, even the chance of severe weather by tomorrow. First, so let's start out in the west because we are getting a little bit of a break today after seeing so many images of flooded roadways, mudslides, landslides, washed out roadways. The historical storm does continue. It's heartbreaking, and we are going to continue to see one last push. Not today. We get dry weather today. That's good news. And then there is that last push. It comes in tonight into tomorrow. We're not expecting a whole lot of moisture. It's going to be a quick mover as well. That's good news. But still, any more amount of rain on top of these soggy grounds, that's going to cause some problems. Most of the moisture is going to stay up to the northern parts of California into the Pacific Northwest. So I think we'll keep Southern California dry. But this is a look at tomorrow. Light amounts for Northern California. And we should keep the south dry. We could maybe see a few showers. That's going to push inland on Thursday, and that's going to move into the Great Basin. But here's our cross-country storm. It's a big one. We're looking at 19 million people impacted at this point. We have winter alerts stretching from the southwest into the central plains, into portions of New England. Where you see the pink, that is a winter storm warning. And we're going to see heavy snow throughout the Rockies tonight into tomorrow, and also portions of the central plains. That's on the cold side. Notice where you see these pinks and purples. So Denver, North Platte, that's where we're going to see heavy snow. It's going to cause really tricky travel in those parts of the country. We'll be tracking that for you tomorrow. And this is what it looks like. That area of low pressure moving out of the Rockies as we go throughout the day, bringing that heavy snow and slow travel. Scattered rain showers for Texas, also New Mexico. And then tomorrow, this is going to be an active day. This is where it sort of encounters that really warm, humid air. So we are looking at the chance of some severe storms. We're not expecting a tornado outbreak like what we saw last week, but still could see some isolated tornadoes. We're going to see winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour and also some hail. So we're going to track that for you. Also really warm temperatures ahead of this storm as well. Back to you guys.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much. Concern is mounting this morning over a new COVID subvariant that is rapidly spreading across the country. New CDC numbers show that the strain accounted for at least 43% of confirmed cases over the past week. So what do you need to know? Joining us now with some answers, no one better than NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Doctor, good morning to you. So this new strain is being called the Kraken variant. So we're getting a little more dramatic with the names here. Officials here in New York say it now represents close to 73% of cases. So how worried should we be about another surge?
Yeah, Joe and Lindsay, you should always be worried when we're naming things after mythical creatures. But Kraken, putting the name aside, it is one of the most genetically transmissible and kind of antibody resistant variants that we've seen to date, which is why the World Health Organization and the CDC and basically all the countries around the globe are trying to call attention to it and just remind people that the basics here work when we're trying to protect ourselves.
So, yeah, I want to emphasize what you just said. In a new report, the World Health Organization called this new variant the, quote, most antibody resistant to date. So right. How will that impact people who do catch it? Could it affect them more severely compared to previous strains we've seen? And how do the vaccines maybe plan to all this?
Yeah, all great questions. Number one, we don't know whether it is, quote unquote, more severe. It takes, unfortunately, kind of going through a surge and then really looking at the data. But we do know, especially with New York data and what we're seeing around the world, that it can equally hospitalize and kill immunocompromised and elderly people as other Omicron variants did. So we know that it is at least on par with the lethality or the ability to kill that other variants had. Then to the next question about vaccines. Lots of studies have been put together to look at our current updated bivalent booster vaccine, and it performs modestly, about 30% effectiveness, and that's still a number that's kind of in calculation stage again, because not everybody's had the bivalent booster, but that is really lower effectiveness than I would like to see with an updated booster. However, it's still better performing than the original series of vaccines. So getting updated is better than not, but we know that it might not be enough to protect you, especially if you're older or have chronic conditions that put you at high risk.
So Dr. Patel, we live in this world now where people have returned to relatively normal life, not a lot of mask wearing, people are going out and socializing. Right. So considering that, but also what we're starting to see right now with this variant, what are the best things to do to protect yourself against the new variant?
Yeah, it's all the basics as we know and have been talking about for years now, but on top of just keeping just a little more extra consciousness, staying home when you're sick, all of those things, I just want to put in another reminder that at least our antiviral treatments, specifically Paxlovid, which is in pill form, it's something that you can check with your doctor, especially if you're 12 and above and you're eligible for it. This is something to remind people that if you do get it, that there are options and that there are places to go, that you can at least online get these medications, try to protect yourself if you do get the virus, and then isolate yourself, because we do know this is incredibly contagious.
And that reminder, as you said, if you're not feeling well, we still want you to stay home. You can work from home. You can do whatever. All right. Dr. Kavita Patel, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is calling on the West to speed up its weapons supplies and amid heavy fighting across the country. The plea comes as rescue workers continue to sift through the rubble of an apartment block destroyed by a Russian missile attack over the weekend. At least 44 bodies have been found. Dozens more remain missing. And in the midst of all of this, the head of a private Russian mercenary group is declaring victory in Soledar. NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley takes a closer look at Moscow's power politics from the ruins of eastern Ukraine, and a warning: some scenes in this report might be distressing.
Russia's assault on Soledar left this town broken. But it also broke into the open infighting in the Kremlin's upper ranks between an oligarch whose private army led Russia to victory and a military establishment that appears to want him sidelined. Military analysts said Yevgeny Prigozhin has turned eastern Ukraine into a vicious vanity project to advance his own political ambitions. 3 days before the Russian government claimed to have conquered Soledar, a claim Kyiv has denied, Prigozhin said he was in the salt mines under the city, boasting online that victory was his and his private armies alone, while roasting Russia's military, who he said hadn't helped. His mercenaries hoisted not Russia's flag, but the Wagner Group's own colors over this battered town. If Moscow's grateful for a rare victory, they had a funny way of showing it. Even as the battle raged in Soledar, Putin shuffled his top military ranks, demoting one of Prigozhin's allies. Do you think that this shakeup was an attempt to try to sideline Prigozhin?
The target is to neutralize Prigozhin, especially among the Russian population.
So who is this shadowy figure? A former convict, he restarted his career as a caterer to the Kremlin, known as Putins Chef. But soon he was leading a private army, doing Russia's dirty work in places like Syria, Libya, and Mali, where his soldiers have been accused of war crimes. But it was Ukraine that put him in the public eye. To lead the fight in Ukraine's east, he needed more men. He found them among Russia's most desperate, recruiting convicts direct from prisons with promises of pardons.
The first sin is desertion. No one goes back. No one backs down. No one surrenders.
Ukrainians call his style of fighting meat waves, sending wave after wave of poorly trained and equipped convicts straight into Ukrainian defenses. The self-promoting Prigozhin showcases every stage of his human meat grinder, addressing his mercenaries on the front lines, demanding even his amputee troops return to the front.
If another mine explodes, then the iron leg will be torn off and a new one will be welded.
To finally sending them home in body bags.
Their contract is over. They're going home.
But Ukrainian and American officials say these battles have little strategic value. The victory is for Prigozhin himself. Do you think that Prigozhin is doing all of this in Soledar and Bakhmut in order to further his own political ambitions?
I would say that's the case, in particular, strengthening his position in the apparatus that surrounds Putin.
Climbing the Kremlin's ranks over the corpses of his own soldiers. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.